Okay, let's start. Right. Now, today we are going to look at the last task 2B. We are going to look at task 2B. Okay. Are you excited? I am, because it's the last task. Okay. It's been a long journey. We started with task 3A and B, then 3C, then task 1A, then 1B, then 2A, and now 2B. Okay, so let's get started. The good news is there are many A grades for you to use, many A grades in this task. So you are really lucky in terms of having so many A grades to benchmark. Okay, that's a good thing. So except for one task, all the other tasks, you had so many A grades to benchmark. For this particular task, simple task, you have 3 A grades, the HSBC A grades, Nintendo 20 A grades, and Shell Company A grades. So we will look at some of these A grades. We will look at some of these A grades also, right, and help you. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started. So task 2B, December 2024, case study for global marketing decisions level 7 is on risk management and risk mitigation strategies. Risk management and risk mitigation strategies. Okay. I have to keep entering some students because the Zoom link has been sent today, so that I need to admit students. I don't know why that is done. So, so sorry about it. So I might take some seconds here and there to admit those of you waiting in the waiting room. Okay, right. That's okay. Let's get started. So the HSBC past paper for 1,000 words, you can benchmark this. Task 2B, 20 marks, 1,000 words. Analyze the strategic risks facing HSBC in the successful implementation of each of the 2 strategic options in task 2A. Same question. Recommend relevant mitigation strategies to reduce the impact of these risks. So same question, right? Then Toyota case study. Also is Toyota case study. I have not given you the A grades for Toyota case study, but you can look at the portal and get the Toyota case study A grades. There are many. Toyota case study, which is on the car industry. Critically assess 2 strategic risks facing your organization and recommend relevant mitigation strategies. So here it asks you only for 2. Here it's only 750 words in task 3C. So when it's task 3, it is not in the context of Toyota because it's for the selected organization in task 3. So therefore, I didn't share this with you because this is for many organizations. Students have selected 750 words, 15 marks. Past paper. Then the Nintendo case study is for the case study question, task 2B, 1,000 words, 20 marks. Critically evaluate 2 strategic risks facing Nintendo when considering innovation and NPD and recommend relevant mitigation strategies. So let's look at the Ford case study, guys. 1,000 words, 20 marks. Critically assess the strategic risks which could impact Ford Motors when implementing your chosen strategic options identified in task 2A. So you are given some strategic options. So without doing task 2A, you can't do task 2B. Task 2B is linked to task 2A. Recommend relevant mitigation strategies to address these risks. So there are two parts of this question. What are the risks? Strategic risks in line with the strategic options. And then what are the risk mitigation strategies? So before I go into a bit of an answer plan, I want to take you through some theory. So can you please take a note? Can you please take a notebook and take a note? The note I want you to take down is watch chapter 6, the video on chapter 6. Can you please make a note? Watch chapter 6, the video, the theory video on chapter 6. Please watch it again before you start this task. Right? So the questions here on the risk mitigation strategies and the strategic risks. So what are the benefits of risk management? There can be so many benefits, and you can talk about this in the introduction. There are financial benefits, reputational benefits, operational and infrastructure related benefits, marketplace benefits. Okay. So there are so many benefits of risk management, so many benefits of risk management. So you can use some of this in the introduction of the answer. Then we did a risk probability impact matrix. We call this a risk matrix. So the probability is from 1 to high. The impact of the risk is from 1 to low to high, right? So probability impact matrix is like a risk grid. It's a risk grid where you plot all the risks you have in the company that you can identify. Some become in the red area with a high score. Some become in the amber area with a moderate score. Some become in the green area where the probability and impact is very low. So you need to focus more on the high probability, high impact ones. Very high probability, very high impact ones, you need to focus more of your attention. And the risk mitigation strategies. This is a grid that we use to understand 4 risk mitigation strategies. Accept the risk, transfer the risk, abandon the risk, reduce the risk. We call this the TARA risk mitigation strategy framework. TARA risk mitigation strategy framework. I'm doing some theory again very quickly, but please watch chapter 6. It's about a 2-hour video. Please watch it before you attempt this task. Then this is called a risk register. Every department in the organization will be given a risk register. And there will be a coordinator appointed to manage this, to record and register the risks within their departments. So if you are a large bank, large manufacturing company, you have many, many departments. There are department heads. One of the functions of the department head is to manage the risk register of that particular department. So you need to sit down with your team meetings and put the risks and then answer these questions. Give it a rating and a ranking and pass it to the management, sometimes to the audit and risk committee of the board subcommittee. That is a department head's job. Every month you have to do it. So that then the feedback goes bottom up to the board of directors on the identified risks in the organization from each department. So again, 4 strategies for risk mitigation. This is the second part of the question. Avoiding the risk, reducing the risk, accepting the risk, transferring the risk. This is an explanation with examples for the TARA framework. Again, risk mitigation involves contingency planning, keeping a record, measuring and monitoring the risks, because what gets measured gets done. Identifying risks through auditing and inspection. So there are 4 areas we discussed when we looked at theory to approaches to proactively identifying risks in organization. Objective-based risk identification, resource-based risk identification, functional auditing-based risk identification, and your scenario planning process in your strategic planning process is also a good way to identify risks. And there are risk management global standards. There are many standards. These are some. ISO is one. The COSO ERM framework is one. The COCO framework is another. And there is a IRM or Institute of Risk Management framework also that we can talk about standards to manage risk. Then you also need a risk management framework. This is an example from the annual report of HNB. HNB is 3 lines of defense to manage risk. So there is a board subcommittee on risk management. And you can see the first line of defense, the second line of defense, and the third line of defense. And then it comes to the board subcommittee. So if you have a risk in the organization, it needs to get captured somewhere here. So I explained this in detail when we looked at the theory slides. Here's another risk management framework from the recommended reading. I have given you some recommended reading articles, white papers, books for this task. It's in Google Classroom. So you will see this framework. And these are some A-grade answers from HSBC. So you can see, nice introduction. Then you go into a table and a conclusion. So one of the frameworks that you will use after the introduction is to use a risk management grid or a risk matrix. And then you go into the table. There are other theories like the risk radar, the risk spider diagram that I've given you in chapter 6 on how you can graphically illustrate risks. So you can see students have done this, and I will encourage you to do the same. Right? So these are all screenshots I have taken from students' work. But I will show you some A-grade answers now. This is a risk management framework. So you can draw a risk management framework and propose it before you conclude. Now, in your strategic audit, you need to analyze risks. So you can use a table like this, which I have done, which I'm going to show you, but don't copy my work. Showing the type of risk, impact of the risk, and what is a risk mitigation strategy in front of it. So you can rank it, rate it, all that. So these are some screenshots from A-grade answers of students who have analyzed risk management in the strategic audit and then used that in their answers. So here you go. This is a risk management radar again, risk matrix, and then analyze table for risk management in the strategic audit. I'm just showing you screenshots so that you understand. Right? Now coming back into the question again, before we start looking at some A-grade answers and then going to the answer plan, critically assess the strategic risks that could impact on Ford Motor Company's success when implementing your chosen strategic options identified in task 2A. Recommend relevant mitigation strategies to address these risks. Now, I have given you an Excel analyzing the strategic risks, right? So you can break it up into a few parts. One second, let me fix this. Right. So in terms of risks, I start with strategic risks. So strategic drift. So if we don't, this is from the assessment criteria, strategic drift. We did that under theory. There is a looming disruption in the industry with electrification, mobility as a service, with autonomous vehicles, with all the types of new models of subscription and shared services. Okay. There is a looming disruption in the industry. We call that an inflection point. So you have to take proactive mechanisms because you are the leader of North America, but you're not a big player globally. There are other bigger players globally, but you're a 100-year-old brand. So if you don't do something, same thing that happened to Kodak will happen to you. You'll disappear as an organization. Same thing that happened to BlackBerry, research in motion, you'll get disrupted. Then that's a threat. So that's a strategic risk. Growth in Chinese EV brands, that will be a huge problem. It will flood the global market. It has already happened and create a price war. Legacy leadership over 100 years. Sometimes you think because you are over 100 years, nothing will happen to you. That will prevent you from embracing new thinking. It will impact agility, speed to market, and some level of bureaucracy. Because you are not hungry enough like the startups who have come later on. Also, I have said weak attack strategy, which means you are not taking on the giants like Volkswagen, Tesla, General Motors, Toyota, and then in the premium segment, Mercedes, BMW. You're not taking them on. You are more a follower brand, a passive brand globally. Because in North America, because you're American, you're doing well. But if you don't attack in some of these areas, some of the segments, age categories globally, some of the product categories, you will have an impact on reduced market share and share price in the long term. Then financial and business operational risks, I've taken them together. There is a threat to your core business. The internal combustion engine sales still is very, very high. It's a large proportion of your sales. But electric vehicles are the future. The case study tells us that. So your core business is somewhere else. The future is somewhere else. You need to highlight that to the examiner. That's a threat. I mean, you can put some of these two strategic threats also. It doesn't matter, okay? It's all here. You can change it up and down because you are not going to copy this. Government incentives under financial loans, grants, tax exemptions could be reduced or terminated when political regimes change. There's a US election. There are regime changes happening throughout the world. And BRICS countries, there are so many changes. UK, we saw a change. Europe, there are many governments changing. So when the governments change, the policies change. Concentration risk, lack of diversification. North America has the highest focus at the moment as an organization. You don't focus as much on Asia and the BRICS, which are growing markets. So you lack diversification, related diversification. Whereas Toyota has done that well, Volkswagen has done that well. So there is a concentration risk. Adverse financials and EV profits. So return on investment on electric vehicle investments are yet to materialize. So if that is the future, but your ROI on EV is still a problem. So that's an issue with your business model. Currency and interest rate risks, which will impact profitability and repatriation of profits. The need to increase investment. So you need to continue to invest in NPV positive projects. And there's an increase in cost of capital because you need new projects and you need to find capital to invest in those projects because they are large projects. Electrification of EV vehicles alone is a huge investment. It will impact production, it will drive away investors and increase your cost of capital, right? Because sometimes you need to raise money domestically in other markets from wherever you manufacture, because you are in Turkey or in so many countries. Risk of over dependence on third-party software and secure digital services. So that's another risk. You're over depending on some software and digital service partners. So that is a risk. You're over depending. If they let you down, then you go down. So you need to leverage technology to identify defects earlier. An uncertainty where the liability for faults will begin and end. The case study gives us that information. Labor issues and talent retention is another big problem. Your operation will get hindered, your business will get hindered. Union actions, retention of experienced staff, attracting new talent, all these are big problems. Because when you lose experienced staff and then they go to other industries, then it becomes a huge issue. This is happening to many organizations. Reputational risks. Data protection, privacy, cyber security can impact your reputation. It plays an important role in new product development, e-commerce transactions. Then there is something called GDPR. GDPR is the Data Protection Act, especially in the UK, but you have in Europe, in the States, it's called different names. So you violation of data because you are collecting through software, you are collecting a lot of data of your customers. So there can be a data breach. And there are data protection laws. You get sued for loss of money. So that can be cybersecurity is a big problem, right? Huge issue. Alliance risk. So you have to have strategic alliances, joint ventures. So whilst you need to do it, there's always a risk involved in partners and suppliers that might damage your reputation and compromise your integrity. Manufacturing defects and safety recalls are a big problem. May damage your reputation, increase losses, increase warranty costs, may delay new model launches. Global pressure for clean energy and recycling, decarbonization, and climate change. Huge reputational risk can impact on profits. You may need to change your business model a little bit, right, and get more focused on clean energy. Adverse weather conditions and natural disasters can also impact you. Your production facilities might go underwater. If customers are impacted with tornadoes, we saw huge kind of tornadoes in US in the last 2-3 weeks. We saw huge issues. So if those hit your manufacturing plants, then you are going to have a lot of devastation. Lawsuits, increased regulatory scrutiny, and non-compliance to environmental laws impacting reputation. So vehicle emission standards, road safety regulations, environment laws, labor laws, ISO, adverse publicity on disposal of waste, end of life cycle, because you need to recycle your cars, pressure group actions, and penalties can be imposed by governments. All these are risks. And finally, bribery and corruption can be an issue. You're a global brand with operations around the world. Ford may be exposed to bribery and corruption. Thank God they're not in Sri Lanka. So they are in Sri Lanka, but through an agent. They don't manufacture here. So industry market risks. There can be regional conflict, geopolitics, trade tensions, economic destabilization. So I have put a lot of points there under that case material. Hyper competition, domestically and internationally. Changing consumer tastes. You need to adapt your product from market to market, region to region. And customers are switching brands. International market risks. From market acceptance to protectionism, taxes, quotas, embargoes. There are sanctions on countries like Russia, Iran. Import restrictions, shifting government policy, non-compliance laws, lawsuits. High gas petrol prices, subscription models, supply chain disruptions, and access to raw materials. So guys, I have given you a very comprehensive list here, by the way. Very, very thought through, very comprehensive list. Now the question is, how do you make this into 1,000 words and write an answer? Because you have such a lot to write. Your biggest problem is going to be the word count. So you can write 10 to 15% extra, no problem. Please write 10 to 15% extra, no problem. And when your introduction comes, and your diagrams come, your risk radars, all those come, it will be a very good answer. So I want to show you the structure of the answer, and they take you through some A grades. So here's what I want to show you. So you talk about an introduction, brief paragraph, a critical discussion as to the importance of analyzing strategic risks. Why is it important to analyze strategic risks? So you can use the spider diagram, risk radar, controllable versus uncontrollable risks. So many forms of diagrams to prioritize the impact of risks. You can use the risk matrix. We call it impact analysis as well. Impact analysis or the risk matrix. So I'll show you A grade answers. I've all done this. Then you go into a table, which is the body of the answer. Now, I have given you 4 types of risks here: strategic risk, financial, business, operational risk, reputational risk, industry and market risks. Please change these slightly. Don't just copy them and use them in the same order. Please change it slightly, because there is something called formulaic assignments. The moment you do this, the examiner knows the tutor has given this answer and student has just followed the same thing. There's no originality of thinking. So please improvise, deviate, make changes, use your own brains. I am here to only guide you. I am the support actor. I am not the main actor. You are the main actor. And the second part of the question is on risk mitigation strategies. That's the second column. First column is the risks. Second column is the risk mitigation strategies. So you have the TARA framework, the risk response strategies. You can talk about proactive identification of risks. That is theory. I've given you a slide on that. The importance of risk monitoring. I've given you a slide on that. Introduce a risk management framework. Establish a board subcommittee in the organization so you can make a recommendation, assume that they don't have one, and make a recommendation and propose a risk management framework. Don't cut and paste, you need to draw. I'll show you in A-grade answers. Establishing lines of defense. Quantifying risks. Please look at chapter 6. Watch the video. Use some of these thoughts and introducing risk management standards. And finally, in conclusion, explain that risk management will be an enabler to innovate more and support business growth and avoid strategic drift. Right? So that is the structure of the answer that I'm proposing to you. But I want you to be original now and think based on your thinking. You can make changes. Right? I am going to show you now some of the A-grade answers. So let's start with shell. Let's start with shell. So here's one A-grade answer. You can see here a small introduction. Risk radar and risk metrics. And then it goes into the answer. You have the strategic options there. As you can see, differentiation is the first one. Market development is the second one. So that's a good way to show it. First one is differentiation. Second one is market development. Then you are writing it in that context. So under differentiation, if you are selected differentiation, okay, depends on the strategic options, 3 strategic options you have selected in task 2A, right? So here you're talking about the impact starts with strategic risks, operational risks, it goes on. And finally, you come into the risk mitigation strategies. And then there is a small conclusion. Right? So select one you like. I will show you many A-grade answers. Here's another one. This is from Shell. Again, introduction, risk matrix, risk radar. And it goes into the 2 strategic options. And you can see the types of risks here. And finally, the student has proposed a TARA framework and a risk management framework. Right? Now, I want to show you some Nintendo answers. Right? Let's look at some Nintendo answers. Again, very simple start, then gone into the table, rated, ranked, and a conclusion. So now you can see a certain pattern emerging. Please try and read the A-grade answers This is another one, nicely presented in tables and a conclusion. The more A grades you read, for this task alone, I have given 60. I will now show you some HSBC answers. I'll now show you some HSBC A grades. Again, here's one from the HSBC one. Introduction, diagram, table. All these are A grades. So inside this table, you can see here the risk mitigation strategy, reduce, accept, reducing. So you can see the risk mitigation strategies that the students have mentioned here. Here's another one. This is also from HSBC. So find innovative methods like this. Find innovative tables like this. This is also a very interesting table. To show the examiner the strategic option, the type of risk, and the risk response, risk mitigation strategies. This is also nicely done. As you can see here, this is nicely done. Can you see the risk radar? Beautifully done. So these tasks allows you to use diagrams, nicely present your work, use theory, contextualize theory, apply theory. Okay. All right. So do you have any questions? Anything to clarify? Any questions? Anything to clarify? Any questions? Anything to clarify?
Hello. Hi, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can we use current situations in the risk as an example? For example, Microsoft told the crowdsourcing event that happened recently where there was a technological disaster that was manager as a risk.
See, when you're recommending things, you can. But don't put current situation into the audit. Okay.
Okay.
When you're making recommendations, you can, but don't put it into the audit. Anyway, I'm going to fine comb your work. I'm going to look at your work in detail during the one-to-one sessions. And also, now I must tell you this. Although you are sending me these subtasks, unless they are really off, like some students are sending me, when you're asked to write 750, they're writing 400 words. So then I say, no, don't go to the next task, finish 750 words. Then some students are, the question is on resource-based view, they have gone and written about innovation and entrepreneurship. So I'm looking at it like there's no question on innovation or entrepreneurship. So there are different problems like that. Then I tell you, don't do anymore, just finish this question properly. But many of you have done your work. I told you, okay, now I have changes, but go to the next task. Because if you keep perfecting one task, but not finishing the assignment, if you just keep improving one task only, then you will have a problem. Because you can't pass by improving one task. Entire assignment is important, and the interconnectivity between tasks, subtasks, strategic audit, appendices, all those things I have to look at. And finally, I have to look at your work and ask, as the board of directors, will I accept your recommendations? Will I pass you as the examiner? So I have to answer that question. I have to hold my hand in my heart and ask that question. Will I pass the student or not? So in order to do that, I might blast you a little bit when you're doing your one-to-one sessions with me. One-to-one, no. So I might blast you. Don't get a personal. Okay? Like, don't take it personal because I want you to do your best. I might blast you a little bit. If you've done stupid things, I might say, hey, come on, I'm going to argue with you. Okay. Get ready for argument. I'm going to argue with you, professionally argue. Okay. No other arguments, right? Professionally, hey, what have you done? Like introduction, what have you done? I have given you 20 A grades. You are not done that. So I have the right to tell you that. You have to now look at the A grades, you have to look at everything I've given you and meticulously finish your work. Because if you give me shoddy work for feedback and say, sir, make a balala kiyanna make a tawa hadanna tiyanawa. Some students are like that. Lot more to do, but look at this and tell me what to look at. Nothing to look at. Lot more to do. Do all the lot and send. Because if you don't do everything and send, I can't look at the total picture. So everything must be completed. Presentation must be done properly. You have to get a Turnitin report after you finish. Remember, you can take multiple Turnitin reports. I usually don't do feedback without a Turnitin report. So I need to see two documents. One, assignment in one PDF, Turnitin report in another. Then first I start with the Turnitin report and have a conversation. Usually your Turnitin report is a little high. And there are other things I need to tell you when I look at the Turnitin report. I can have a conversation with you individually on that. Right? Because there is an AI score. Some of you are using AI tools. So I need to look at what those tools are, tell you what is okay, what is not okay. So a lot of conversation we need to have. Okay. So please now amp up your work. I have kept to my end of the bargain. Within 1 month, I can tell you no other study center on the planet will finish analyzing, giving answer plans, recommended reading. No other study center on the planet will give you this. I challenge you. Not in Sri Lanka, not in UK, not in Africa, not anywhere. So I have given you because I dedicated my entire month for GMD. And I have done all the work and I've given it to you. Now it is your time to look at the A grade answers, look at my answer plan and shine. So if you wait until 3rd week of November to do it, then you're taking a risk. Now don't do that. Now put your head down really fast, take a few days leave, quickly finish because the faster you finish, we can start working on the changes. And I usually have a lot of changes. Because when I start arguing with you, I'm going to ask you a question. If you can't answer, then you have to make changes. You have to make changes I want if you can't answer my questions. So usually you go back with a heavy head after the first feedback session, but after the second, third one, you'll see yourself, you have improved tremendously. And your confidence has gone up and sometimes you will not be able to believe that you have done this work. Right? That is the kind of thing I want to get out of you. I want to get out of you work that you think you can't do. You think you have never done that you can't do. I want you to do, and I will get it out of you. But to do that, you need to finish your work fast, send me your work and face the music 1-to-1. All right. So if you're ready for a 1-to-1 session from today, email me the completed assignment, all cover pages, references, word counts, subtask wise word counts must be on the cover page and the Turnitin report. Send it to me saying, sir, now I've done everything. Now tell me how to get A grade. I like to have that conversation. But if you tell me, I have done something, can you look at this? I have more to do. But can you tell me? No. Waste of time. That's a waste of time. That means you have to sit down and finish your work. But if you do have any questions, I don't understand this area, then you can contact me directly anytime. You can send me a voice note or a WhatsApp, or if you need to get on a Zoom or whatever, I can explain. No problem. That is okay. But I have more work to do. Can you check my work? Is not an answer now. Now you have to get into lion mode, lion mentality now. Okay, guys, any questions? Anything to clarify? Ranil, I hope I answered your question. Yeah, turn it in. If you want to get it earlier, you can get it early. Now you can get it. Basically, send it to Lisa. She'll get it free. Don't worry. Don't worry. But before you get turn it in, try and finish everything and ask yourself. Because especially task 2, you all need to really do well in task 2. Because why? It has the highest amount of marks, 20 and 20. So 40 marks. Out of 40 marks, you need to score above 25. Then chances are you getting a B grade is very, very high. Don't target a C. You have to target a B or a A. So if you don't score more than 25 marks out of the 40 marks in task 2, that means you have to write quite a bit and fairly meticulously answer the question. Don't worry. I will help you. I will help you. Now you need to sit down and do your work. Some of you give me first cut is brilliant. Then I can take it to the next level. Then again, you come back, I can help you take it to the next level. So we have enough time, plan your work. Those of you doing CEC, CDC, I know the pressure you have. I know the pressure you have. You are managing 3 subjects, I know, but don't worry. Christmas is coming. All right. November is going to be a tough month, but Christmas is coming. New Year is coming. You can relax. So little bit of a stressful month in November, but enjoy. Right? Enjoy. Don't worry. We are here to help you. All 3 tutors are committed. You need to discipline yourself and don't postpone. Don't think Friday is coming, long weekend is coming, Thursday is a holiday. Eva then back. Daily you need to sit down. Right? Daily, you all are not kids, you all are adults. Daily you need to sit down. So you have to prioritize. You have to prioritize. Stop a little bit of extracurricular this month and push a little bit. Enjoy. We are here to help you. 3 of us are here to help you. Okay? All right, guys. So good night. I will see you soon. I want to take another class with you and do some other areas. Good night. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Good night. Good night.
Good
Good night, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good night, sir. Thank you.